What if I told you the deepest laws of physics weren't written down in equations, but in poems? We're about to explore a pretty wild idea that the blueprint for the entire universe has been hiding in plain sight, encoded in the rhythm of ancient hymns. I know, it sounds kind of out there, right? But that's the exact question we're digging into today. We're looking at a fascinating interpretation that suggests the very structure of these sacred verses might actually be describing the fundamental laws of physics. So, where does an idea like this even come from? Well, our source is a text called the Vedic Vigyan Alok, and it makes a radical claim that the ancient Vedic verses aren't just spiritual hymns. No, they're a coded scientific manual for how the cosmos was created. Okay, so if it's a code, how in the world do you crack it? Well, according to this text, the secret isn't in the words themselves. The key is in the rhythm they're built on, what are called poetic meters. The key term you gotta know is chanda. Now, traditionally, that just means the meter of a poem. It's beat and rhythm. But the Vedic Vigyan Alok has a completely different take. It says each chanda isn't just a rhythm, it's a formula, a specific vibrational frequency that, get this, supposedly kicks off a real physical process in the universe. And this is where it gets really specific. The source basically lays out this incredible map, linking these famous Vedic meters directly to the forces of creation. You've got Gayatri for particle attraction, Trishtubh for amping up the energy, Jagati for actually forming matter, and Anushtubh to hold it all together. Let's dive into the first one. Everything, according to this theory, begins with the Gayatri meter. It's one of the most well-known in Vedic tradition. And its job here is to kickstart the most basic, fundamental process there is, attraction. Here, we have a verse written in that exact Gayatri meter. Now, on the surface, it reads like a prayer, right? An invocation. But according to the Vedic Vigyan Alok, that's just the surface level. The real scientific meaning is hidden underneath. And here's the decoding in action. On one hand, the poetic meaning is a prayer asking a divine fire to appear. But on the other hand, the scientific parallel is a literal description of physics, the attraction between what the text calls a negative Soma particle and a positive Agni particle. Two sides of the same coin. So the takeaway is this. In this model, the Gayatri meter isn't just poetry. Its specific frequency is the blueprint for electromagnetism. It's the fundamental force that pulls opposite charges together and gets the whole cosmic dance started. But, attraction is just the beginning. Once particles are brought together, what happens next? Well, this is where the source says the Trishtubh meter jumps in, and it acts like a cosmic amplifier. Here's a little piece of a verse in the Trishtubh meter. And it's probably no coincidence that poems written this way often talk about incredible power, strength, and heroism. The whole vibe is about intensification. And that poetic theme of power maps directly onto a physical process. In this scientific reading, Trishtubh describes ramping up the energy in the system. The reactions become way more intense, creating more force, more light, and more heat. So you can think of Trishtubh as the formula for energization. It takes that initial spark from Gayatri and just pours gasoline on it, turning these basic particles into highly reactive, supercharged building blocks, getting them ready for the main event. So we've seen how attraction and amplification are supposedly encoded. But how do all these different meters work together? Well, the source actually lays out the entire step-by-step process for creating the universe. Think of this like a cosmic assembly line. It all starts with step 1, attraction. The Gayatri meter's frequency pulls the first particles together. Then, step 2, amplification. The Trishtubh meter injects a ton of energy, supercharging everything. Next, step 3 is propagation. This is the Jagati meter's job. It governs how waves spread out and how visible matter, the stuff we can actually see, begins to form. And finally, step 4, stabilization. The Anushtubh meter acts like cosmic glue, binding these new particles together to create stable, lasting structures. Now, to really understand this whole model, you have to know the two main characters in the story, Agni and Soma. In this interpretation, Agni isn't just fire. It's redefined as pure energy. Think light, photons, positive charge. And Soma is redefined as pure matter, the particles themselves, the stuff of substance, carrying a negative charge. So when you put it all together, what you get is this vision of the universe as a grand symphony. It's born from this incredible dance between energy, or Agni, and matter, or Soma. And what's conducting this whole orchestra?
Well, it's the specific resonant frequencies of these ancient Vedic meters, with each one playing its unique part to build the cosmos.
The Vidvigyan Alok is pretty clear. It argues this is a lost science. Now, whether you see it as that or as just an incredibly complex and beautiful metaphor, it definitely offers a fascinating new way to look at the universe. And it leaves you with one last thing to think about. If the cosmos really was born from sound, is it possible we can still hear the music?